let's talk financing, because I know that's a big one for indie films and small budget films. Like, how do you find financing for your films?
The first film, Charlie Casanova, cost less than €1,000. And that was because of that post put on Facebook, but also because it was coming up to Christmas and I knew that Ireland kind of shuts down in January. And I had hoped that perhaps we might capture people at their downtime who would be excited enough by a screenplay that they might contribute. And it became one of these remarkable scenarios where so many people, and many of them very, very experienced people, decided that based on the screenplay they wanted to be involved. The money was spent mostly on food. And the reality of how that film was made is probably impossible to replicate, because now we got this understandable notion of people not working for free and so on and so forth. But you also have to have time to be able to take off in your life. And I was writing a soap opera at the time, so I was able to briefly use that time. But what was interesting about the precedent it set is that that was a film that was made for less than €1,000 that was picked up by Studio Canal and distributed in cinemas in the UK and Ireland. The fact that a film can be made for that price on that equipment and still transfer onto a large screen in cinemas, that's a massively exciting precedent, because you go, there's nothing stopping you. Your phone, literally your phone, has a greater capacity for sound and vision than equipment that would have cost nearly $250,000 only 20 years ago. If you look at television from the 80s, you look at the quality of it, it's incredibly bland. And you look at what these phones can do, what sound can do. And what's interesting, we were discussing it earlier, but the idea of the technological advancements are unprecedented. Imagine what John Cassavetes would have done with your phone. Imagine what Mozart would have done. But imagine what Van Gogh would have done with your phone. We have all those capacities available to us. But bizarrely and perversely, we don't seem to have the courage to tell the kind of stories that are deeply personal and might be personal to somebody in a dark room. So finances are not something that should be stopping you at all. No matter what the ambition is, there's still few things more compelling than having somebody in a private room do something that makes us go, Christ, I'm uncomfortable. And the person beside me is slightly uncomfortable. And the reason we're uncomfortable is because that person is doing something that we thought we were the only ones in the world who did. And now not only is our loneliness less restrictive, but our recognition that we are not alone in the world becomes the conversation.
Do you think such access to equipment potentially creates problems in regards to that there's so much out there? For example, like I know in Ireland there's like 30-something film festivals, in the US who knows how many million are. And so there's just so many people making so many small films competing for that hopeful distribution deal that they might get from a bigger studio.
I think it depends on your objective for making those films in the first place. If you're making a film just to make a film, forget about it. There's no point, because it's already difficult enough and it's already competitive enough. But if you're making a film because you are driven by a desire to make that person who's sitting in that dark room feel less alone by revealing your vulnerability to them, then not only is that journey going to be heartbreakingly difficult, but the end result is going to have a profound resonance with that person who you may never even meet. If you're not driven by that, do something else.
Yeah, absolutely. You teach acting, so what can you want to tell us a little bit about your acting classes?
I've been teaching for over 20 years, but I teach a very specific form of what's called the Aristotelian construct, and it's everything that Western drama is constructed around. And it's based on the idea of not just empowering the actor, but teaching them the tools of form and structure, the things that we don't talk about in this country. Teaching the actor how to take the responsibility they have to a degree where they stimulate and provoke the audience into having a reaction. So you can't teach talent, but you can absolutely teach form and structure. And because we've been doing that for 20 years, and because of the reactions of the actors who've gone through it, you realize that given the proper tools, somebody with talent can connect with an audience on a level that is profound. And that's back to Emmett Scanlon and back to Mo Dunford and back to the kind of actors I work with, where you go, how do you take an unknown entity and by the end of a 90-minute process make an audience go, Christ, who the hell is that?
And last question, kind of what are you working on now that people should be looking out for?
Not having a nervous breakdown.
Okay, that's always important. All right, perfect. And if anybody wants to find out about any of your classes, or potentially if they want to see Charlie Casanova for St. Patrick's Day, are they available?
Both of them are on Amazon and all those kind of things. But if you just type my name into Google, I'm sure you'll somehow be able to access any information you want.
Perfect. All right. Great. Well, thanks for talking to us, and have fun in Paris, which, is that where you said you were going? Or, yeah, Paris. So enjoy your visit to Paris.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.